Most respected Thai, dear Sangha, today is the 6th of December in the year 2018. We are in the Stillwater Meditation Hall in the Dharma Cloud Temple. And today I have been asked to give what Thai has called an a la carte Dharma Talk, so that I have nothing prepared. If you go to a restaurant and you can order your meal a la carte, but that means you have a menu and you have to choose from the menu. But if you look on the board, we don't have a menu for you to choose from. But still we need to choose things that we really feel that, in fact, it's not me who, it's you who make the menu, not me. Yeah. So please, can you give us some delicious menu that I can choose from to talk about? Yeah. Thank you. Everybody understand the game? Yeah? That is that you have a topic that you would like to be addressed, and so I will write it on the menu. Your chef is waiting. Oh, chefess or Yes, please, Sister Chan.
Dear respected Thai, dear Sukho, dear brothers and sisters, I know that some years ago there was a report from the United Nations about the environment, and because of that report, Thai wrote the Blue Cliff Letter and asked the International Sangha to become vegan because of the impact of animal agriculture on the earth. And very recently there has been another report, and there is currently a conference happening in Poland about how to help the earth. And it says that we have a very limited time, maybe 12 years, to make big changes on a global level in order to prevent huge suffering throughout the world. And I'm wondering what we can do as a Sangha, not just as an individual hamlet, but as an international Sangha, to better support the earth in how we consume and for example, our building projects, and how we can
Sorry, what products?
How we consume, and also, for example, in our building projects. That's just an example, or maybe how we travel, and what we can do, if there is anything more we can do to support our lay sanghas and lay community with perhaps the overwhelm or despair they may be feeling, and to turn that into compassionate and timely action. Thank you for your listening.
No, wait a minute. So in the report, what does it say? 1.5 degrees or something? So we need to keep down below 1.5 degrees, is that right? Can you think of a way I can put it?
How can we come together as an international community, both monastic and lay, to reduce our impact on the environment?
To reduce our impact on the environment.
And take compassionate action.
Anyway, I understand what it is.
Yeah, dear respected Thầy, dear Sư-cô, I don't have the exact way to express it, but I just wonder how we can practice the spirit of democracy in Plum Village, but at the same time we respect the spirit of seniority. From Sư-co's experience, how do we?
Dear Thầy, dear Sangha, dear Sister Chan Duc, I think a question I've had for quite a while is about how to protect the Sangha from what I guess we call groupthink. Are you familiar with the concept of groupthink?
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of date.
Okay. So, groupthink was one of the... it's the negative side of collective wisdom, or it's the negative side of collective decision-making. So the very famous example was the Space Shuttle Challenger, I believe, the one that exploded on liftoff. And there was one person in the group of engineers who designed that spacecraft who had an intuition, who had a feeling that there was something wrong with the design for the heat-resistant tiles on the outside of the spacecraft. And the person shared the view, but there was a number of other factors acting on the group. And the majority of the people in the group, the vast majority, there was only one person really who was against the decision, said, no, it's good enough. We're going to go forward. And the person felt, you know what, I'm the only one who thinks this way, it must be right, the group must be right. And so they put down their view, and of course it was a bit of a disaster, everyone died. So, so it's a kind of phenomena. It's a kind of phenomena in community.
Yeah, they didn't get the Vietnamese translation. So he's just giving an example of how, when you have a group of people working together, they have to make a decision. And one person doesn't agree with that decision that the others agree with. And in fact, the one person who doesn't agree is right. He's right, but everyone else is wrong. So this is called groupthink, according to Brother Dao Gili.
Bu Hien, but I don't think we've met like once, so it's okay. Bu Hien.
Bu Hien, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So can you put your question again? I'm sorry, how can we... What was the question? Something about how can we protect the Sangha from groupthink?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So this Dharma talk, I already learned a lot. I didn't know before.
Cho con hỏi câu hỏi được không ạ?
Dạ được, ở đâu? Ở đây.
Dạ, con xin phép hỏi bằng tiếng Việt.
Dạ được.
Thưa sư cô, con thấy sống trong chúng thì mình có rất là nhiều việc phải làm, mình có rất nhiều thứ để care. thì thỉnh thoảng thì mình có thể quên đi cái mục đích chính của mình tới đây làm gì á. Thì gần đây thì con mới tỉnh giấc và con bắt đầu tập trung hơn vào cái mình muốn tìm cái ultimate concern, cái ước muốn, cái mà mình muốn thực sự ấy. Thì con rất là inspire với cái kinh mà trong khóa tu 21 ngày sư cô dạy, cái kinh của Purification of Armed Food. Thì con rất là muốn thực tập cái định không trong cái đời sống hàng ngày. Và con thấy trong cái định không, concentration on emptiness. Thì con thấy trong thời gian từ đầu an cư cho tới nay khi con thực tập thì con thấy sự thực tập đó nó cũng mang cho mình những cái sự buông bỏ nhất định nào đó và cho mình rất nhiều không gian. Nhưng mà con vẫn cảm thấy rằng là con muốn thực tập một cách nó nhiều hơn trong đời sống hàng ngày. Thì con có câu hỏi này trong lòng là con rất là muốn được nghe từ sư cô thực tập áp dụng cái định không như thế nào, định không này như thế nào trong đời sống hàng ngày để mình có thể không có waste là cái gì?
Waste our time.
Không có waste our time. Cảm ơn sư cô.
Oh, sorry, I'll write it on the board and then I'll read it. How to keep our ultimate, yeah. Okay, one more question. Yeah.
Good morning, dear Tay, dear community, dear Suko. I would like to ask for your wisdom and your thoughts about this feeling, this concern I have. It's in general, it's regarding like each person in the community. They hold a lot of responsibility and work, but also trying to be balanced and fresh and but especially like smaller centers where there's less monastics holding a lot of responsibility, like Magnolia Grove Monastery or Blue Cliff Monastery or EIAB. I have a lot of love for them and I have concern, and I perceive, my perception is that maybe the monastics there are more likely to be stressed as opposed to here in Plum Village where we have more monastics to hold the responsibility. But maybe my perception is wrong and they're like really happy and they're okay and I'm just naive, but so I asked for your thoughts and your wisdom and your experience of our community, 30 years of experience, in hopes that maybe you can help me relieve my concern or stress, or is that good enough?
Am I right to be concerned that in our smaller centers the workload for monastics detracts from monastic life? Is that okay? It's okay, huh?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I will read what we have. Maybe it's enough. What can we do as an international Plum Village Sangha to reduce our impact on the environment and take compassionate action with regard to this? How can we uphold democracy in Plum Village and respect seniority? How can we protect the Sangha from groupthink? How to keep our ultimate concern in our daily life alive? How to keep alive our ultimate concern in our daily life? For example, the concentration on emptiness. Okay. Is there anything really urgent that has been needs to be mentioned? No? Good. I can remember. Do you mind if I change the position of the board a little bit, Shane? Most respected Thai, dear Sangha, we talk about two kinds of concern. The ultimate concern and our daily concern in our events in our daily life. And when we become ordained, we want to be able to liberate ourselves from suffering, from the kind of unnecessary suffering that we have inherited from our ancestors. And our ancestors have not yet known how to transform. So we want to do that. We want to make that transformation for our ancestors. And we learn that the way to uproot all that unnecessary suffering, sometimes we talk about uproot all the suffering. And now I added the word unnecessary, because I think we're not rock, we're not stone. And we have to suffer. If there's a tsunami somewhere, you can't say, oh, now I'm liberated from suffering, I'm not suffering about that. You agree, huh? So that is why I add the word unnecessary, so we don't have a kind of dream that one day we won't have any suffering anymore. And we don't have a dream that is an individual dream, that, oh, when my suffering will end, and I don't care about whether other people's suffering ends. And that is why we have the vow, like as long as there is a human, as long as there is a blade of grass that has not yet been liberated, I do not want to go to the shore of liberation. And also in the Vajracchedika Sutra, when it said that the Bodhisattva has the vow to relieve all beings and take all beings to the other shore, but in fact there are no beings to take to the other shore. It's kind of also encouraging us to look at these feelings we have. But we need to have a very strong aspiration to keep us helping others, to keep our beginner's mind alive. And therefore we can make that aspiration in the terms of shaving my head completely. I make the great vow today to help all beings end all their afflictions. So we have to look at both aspects. We have this deep aspiration to help all beings be liberated. And then we see that we ourselves are not separate from all beings. So this leads us to the conclusion that we have to realize nirvana in the midst of samsara. They are not two separate places. You don't have samsara here and nirvana there. So in our daily life we have to chop wood, and we have to carry water, we have to cook, we have to garden, and we want to be able to keep our ultimate concern alive during those daily activities. So when we are practicing sitting meditation, our body is very still and we feel safe. We feel in a very safe environment. We're in the meditation hall or in a place where we don't feel threatened by anything. And our sitting position is very stable. So in that position, it's easier to concentrate than when you're very busy carrying heavy loads and things like that. Where you have to keep a lookout, be careful I don't drop this, or be careful I don't hurt myself while I'm doing this work. So part of your mind has to be occupied with that. Whereas in sitting meditation, you can give your whole mind to things like the concentration on emptiness. So we really need our sitting meditation, and we also need our daily activities, because as we said, nirvana is found in the midst of samsara. And it is in samsara that we can have compassion. The things that happen in our historical dimension, the things that go wrong, the suffering that we see, it waters the seed of compassion in us. So when we really need that aspect of our life, and we need the sitting meditation. And the thing is how that the historical dimension and the ultimate concern, how they can help each other. How that the daily activity and the sitting meditation can complement each other. So we hear stories about how a monk is working in the orchard and is working in the working in the orchard, and when he's hoeing the earth, a stone flips up and hits the tree and makes a sound. And on hearing that sound, the monk is become enlightened. He has a breakthrough. He has a breakthrough into the ultimate dimension. But if he hadn't already practiced looking deeply into interbeing, impermanence, it wouldn't have been possible for him to have that breakthrough. So we need to practice in our sitting meditation concrete things, and like we need to practice to see our own non-self nature, to look deeply into our 5 skandhas and see that they are not separate from each other, and they're not separate from what has come to us from our ancestors, what has come to us from our teacher. So it's important that our sitting meditation is not just breathing in, I know I'm breathing in, and breathing out, I know I'm breathing out, and just noticing what is going through my mind. So you can practice that kind of sitting meditation sometimes, but it's also very important when you're awake enough, and therefore you have to go to bed early and not eat too much in the evening. And when your mind is fresh and awake at the time of the dawn, what do we have? Fat Tanna, the Dharma body shines brightly at this time of day in the early morning. That is the time when our mind is, if we've slept properly, is at its best. And therefore we need to, and we don't have very long. If on lazy day you can meditate a bit longer, it's very good. Because 30 minutes is not not so long for a sitting meditation. It's okay if you can really apply your mind right from the beginning of the sitting, then you can have fruit from that meditation. But if it takes you a long time to establish concentration, you may not have so much fruit from your meditation. So I feel that the sitting that we have every day in the schedule is not quite enough for me. That's for my own case. Your own case may be different. But we are very lucky. We have lazy day. We have lazy evening. We have other opportunities when we can practice sitting for a longer time. And looking deeply into and you have a wonderful gift, which is the book Blooming of a Lotus, which we're going to improve, so it'll be an even more wonderful book. And I think we need to use that book to help us concentrate on emptiness. And we've just been reading a sutra about Rahula. And Rahula needed to come to the Buddha many times to ask for instruction how to meditate. So the Buddha would say, so the Buddha would have a translation team. The Buddha would say, meditate on non-self. But in fact, to just sit there and I'm not a separate self, I'm not a separate self, it's not effective. So Rahul has to come back and keep asking the Buddha, how can I meditate on non-self? And I think that answer is in many of the exercises in Blooming of a Lotus. And then, when you've meditated in your sitting meditation, say for instance you've meditated on the different elements inside you and outside you, and you've meditated that in your sitting meditation, and then you go out and you do the gardening. You will be naturally aware of the element water, the element earth, all around you. And you may, if you're lucky, you will see the connection between the water outside and the water inside of you. And that is the beginning of the meditation on emptiness, because emptiness means emptiness of a separate self. So organize in such a way that your sitting meditation and your daily activities have something to do with each other. Choose the kind of sitting meditation to do so that during the day, from time to time, you can come back to it. And another thing is that monk who was working in the orchard, when the stone flew up and hit the tree, he didn't think that morning when he woke up, oh, today I'm going to have a breakthrough. He didn't have any idea that he was going to have a breakthrough. Because the breakthrough, it comes from very deep in our consciousness. It's not you suddenly have a thought. There's something, it come up and you cannot describe it, from very deep in your consciousness. So that is another thing we have to bear in mind, that we are not just transforming our intellect, but we have to practice in such a way that it transforms the depths of our consciousness. And the only way is to keep training in mindfulness and concentration. And then sometimes when you're not expecting it, you will suddenly see something that you've never seen before. And it may be difficult to describe. And in the old time you would have gone to your meditation master and you would have said something, and then your meditation master would have said something to you, and he would say, not yet, or he would say, yeah, that's right, keep going in that direction. It's the same with the Buddha and Rahula. Buddha said, not yet. Go away and practice more. So one day we will become a Dharma teacher. And one time a Dharma teacher said to me, can I talk about things which I have not yet realized? So it's fine, as long as you don't say that you've realized things that you haven't realized. You can talk about them. But with one condition, that when you do, you put your whole heart into practicing in the way that you've taught others to practice. So you're not teaching one thing and doing another thing, but when you teach, it's to help you go with the people you're teaching in the same direction, do the same thing as the people you are teaching the people to do. So it's also a good opportunity for us to deepen our insight. And sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I see something that I've not seen before. So that is because in my sleep, the store consciousness has been continuing to practice. Like sometimes you have a dream when you wake up in the morning and you see you're already following your breathing, or you have a dream when you're practicing walking meditation, or you have a dream and you get very angry. All these things, they have been ripening in the store consciousness. So we can also keep an idea or see what kind of thing that our store consciousness does when we are asleep, to know if we're just up here in our intellect or whether we're actually transforming something in our store consciousness. And it's good when you write your Komfu every day, that you notice, how have I touched the ultimate dimension today? Because it's very nourishing to touch the ultimate dimension that goes beyond time and space. It's not caught in this body, it's myself. It's not caught in my lifespan is start when I'm this age and I will live till that age. So we need those kind of insights during the day in our sitting, and we can write them down just so that we don't forget that our aim as a monk or a nun is to help beings suffer less. And the only real way to uproot suffering is the realization of no self, which goes with impermanence, and the realization of nirvana, no birth and no death. So we must always keep that alive in us, the awareness of our aspiration to realize no birth and no death alive, because that will end all our unnecessary suffering and help us to help others end all their unnecessary suffering. So in the Four Noble Truths, we have the first noble truth of suffering and the making of suffering, and we have the ending of suffering. So that is a little bit related to the concentration on emptiness, the insight into no birth and no death, the ending of suffering. And then we have the Eightfold Path. So when we talk about the Four Noble Truths, we see normally suffering is talked about as birth, old age, sickness and death. But in our own time, we see that there are very big sufferings, like the suffering of the destruction of our ecosystem. This is a huge suffering. People who are old like me, we may think that, I won't live to see the real disaster. But of course, who is it who won't live? Is the question I have to ask. Because I will continue. So, in one way or other, I will certainly see the suffering. I can't pretend that I will die and then I won't have anything to do with it. Because I continue in my younger brothers and sisters, in my nephews and nieces, great nephews and great nieces. So I'm sure that I will be there. So that is a great suffering for young people now. That they are going to see the situation of the destruction of the ecosystem getting worse and worse. And the reports, like Sister Chan Duc just mentioned, are like bells of mindfulness for us. Actually, they're quite difficult to read. I tried reading it yesterday, and I'm afraid I gave up after a few paragraphs because it's difficult for me to understand. It's all in English, difficult to understand, and those of you who speak Vietnamese, it's probably 100 times more difficult to understand. But we need to realize that the temperature on the earth is going up all the time. And if it goes up more than 1.5 degrees, then that's probably the end of our civilization, our human species, and life on earth. So it's very delicate, because 1.5 degrees is not very much. And I think the main ways that they suggest that we is stop animal elevation, what is it called, raising of livestock. That is the most important point, is it? And there's two other points. What are they?
Carbon emission.
Yeah, carbon emission and
Transport.
Transport is carbon emission, isn't it? Carbon emission from heating and things like that. Anything. But a separate one for transport. Yeah, okay. So that the conclusion of the people who made the report is that we need to look in three directions in order to reduce not reduce global warming, or stop global warming going up beyond a certain amount. And of course we have the means to do that. Technologically we can do that. It's not out of our power at all. What the difficulty is that we don't want to do it, or that we're not motivated enough to do it. And that is what comes from our mind. I think that không biết các chị em có thể ngồi xuống được không? Đi ra, đi vào, đi ra, đi vào. Cố gắng mình ngồi xuống cho đến hết. Nếu mình thấy là mình quá mệt thì mình nhắm mắt và mình ngủ. Nếu mình ngủ là tốt hơn mình đi ra đi vào. Bởi vì mỗi khi mình đi ra đi vào như vậy thì cái tập trung của Chan Duc nó nó bị đứt. Như vậy mình cố gắng một chút. Nếu không có gì mà đây mình ngồi yên, mình lắng nghe. Nếu mình không có lắng nghe được, mình đi ngủ là tốt hơn. So this is a matter of changing our mind. Basically, that is what we need to change. And only then will we have the motivation to be able to help our planet Earth. And so Thầy has written for us the book, A Love Letter to the Earth, which encourages us to develop a new relationship with the Earth. And that, I feel, is the basis of our motivation to want to help the Earth. If our motivation is fear, then I think we can do a certain amount. But if our motivation is love, I think we can do much more. So what I should like to help people to do is to develop a relationship with the Earth, a relationship of love for the Earth. We know that everything is impermanent, and sooner or later the human civilization will end. That is unavoidable, that is impermanence. And sooner or later, life on Earth will come to an end. That is the law of impermanence. We cannot avoid it. But do we want it to happen quickly, or do we want to keep our life on Earth as long as possible? And why do we want to keep life on Earth as long as possible? Because we see that being on Earth is an opportunity for us to grow and learn in compassion and to become enlightened. So the Earth is really an excellent place for us to learn compassion and to become enlightened. And that is why we want to keep life on Earth as long as possible. And if we can do it as a Sangha, then we have so much more energy. So the energy of compassion and the energy of love for the Earth and for everything that lives on the Earth is, to me, the most important contribution that we can make. Although it may not look as it is doing something to reduce carbon footprint, I think that it is doing something. The spiritual energy is doing something. And that is what we can do. But that does not mean to say that we don't take care of our carbon footprint. And that is why Thai said that we should become vegan. And there's something very obvious that we can do. When we go shopping, we're very careful. We do not buy things which contain animal products. And we haven't gone far enough in this. And I don't know what the reasons are. And at the very least, if we buy animal products, we make sure that they are from animals that have been well cared for, that they're from animals that haven't been raised in appalling conditions and then killed in appalling conditions. So this is something we all of us need to look at. Before you consume something, before you buy something, look very carefully at the ingredients. Does it contain animal products? And that is one of the three things that the recent report has said we have to do. We have to stop raising livestock as we're doing, because that is a huge carbon footprint. And some of us become vegetarian because we want to take care of our health, vegan. Some of us become vegan because we don't want animals to suffer. And some of us become vegan because we don't want the whole planet Earth to suffer. So we can, becoming vegan has 3 effects. You'll be better health, you will not cause animals to suffer, and you will not cause the whole planet Earth, life on the planet Earth to suffer. So it's important we listen to the teaching of Thai. Every day we read, may we keep our compassion alive by eating in such a way that reduces the suffering of living beings. And when we're eating something that has animal products, we are obviously not doing that. And most of us understand enough French to be able to read the ingredients on whatever we're consuming, and we should ask somebody to translate if we don't. So the second thing is about transport. And I really think about this a great deal. Every time I buy a ticket to go to Thailand, I don't feel quite right. And the other day I said to my sister, maybe I should go by boat to Thailand. So I have been thinking about that. And usually I have a sister who goes with me, and I was thinking, oh, will she get very seasick? Well, anyway. So please let us as a Sangha look into this, air travel. And if we're in Europe, if we can go by train or by bus, rather than fly. So I can't really preach about not going by air, because it's something I do. But every time as I said, it causes me discomfort. I don't feel good about buying an air ticket. And I just hoping for the day when we will have solar-powered aeroplanes. In fact, I'm sure we could have solar-powered aeroplanes now, but people aren't motivated to make solar-powered aeroplanes. We don't have that motivation. We don't have that love for the earth. And then the other thing is about heating, using heat and other burning fossil fuels. So we can each of us contribute to that, to turning off electricity, turning off the heating when we're not in the room, and not going around just wearing our summer clothes and turning the heating up as high as it will go, because that also is a way of contributing to carbon footprint. So in a way, every month we need to look at our practice of taking care of the environment. What have I done this month? Have I done more this month than I did last month? We make so many things out of plastic. I tried once, when I was looking after my father, to live for a week without or 2 weeks or something, without buying anything without plastic. It was very difficult. Yeah, it's not easy. But we have to, that also is to do with fossil fuel. We also have to look at how we can reduce the amount of plastic. And if we can have Dharma sharing sometimes, of Sangha life, about what we can do as a hamlet to reduce global warming, what we can do together. This will also help the lay people. When the lay people see that we are making a real effort, they feel encouraged to do the same. As I said before, the biggest effort we can do is to change our relationship to Mother Earth, to feel love for Mother Earth, a deep love, and encourage others in the same direction. But we also have to do the outer form. We also have to show the lay people that we're really making an effort. We've already done this much, we've already done a lot, but if every time the lay people come, they see that we're still at that stage we were last time they were here, we haven't done something more, then they won't be so encouraged. So every month, every year, we need to do a little bit more. And about taking compassionate action. Taking compassionate action means that we don't take sides. So we don't want to be in a state of fighting against those who are not taking care of the environment. But I think it's good that we can take action, that we can, since I've been a nun, I've also been in certain actions, like at an abattoir, what do you call it, a slaughterhouse. Then we have also in Germany gone to make a peaceful protest at a new slaughterhouse that's about to be opened. And I think that this is something, we have the practice of mindfulness, we have the practice of concentration. So doing sitting meditation or doing walking meditation at a slaughterhouse is also something that we can support the lay people in that, and we can provide a real spiritual presence. And also we feel a little bit happy that we are able to contribute something, even though the result might not be look very big. And the other thing is that we can go. I have been on to a fracking demonstration and things like that. So there is no reason why we shouldn't, as a monastic sangha, organize along with the lay people to be present at certain demonstrations and so on, as long as we can do so and we can contribute peace and a really peaceful energy, a joyful energy, a non-fighting energy to that. And now we've been talking a little bit about things outside the Sangha. So now we need to look a little bit inside the Sangha. And we know that inside and outside are not two separate things, they inter-are. The way we are inside also influences the outside, and the way the outside is also influences the inside. So we inter-are. And how we're going to organize our Sangha so that we have enough feeling that there's enough democracy. When I hear that question, I have a feeling, there is a feeling that we don't have enough democracy. I don't know if I'm right. So in our monastic Sangha we have the elders, the elder Dharma teachers are there to take care of the practice. And then under that we have the bhikshuni and bhikshu sangha, and then we have the novices and the shikshamana. So the decision is made at the bhikshuni level. But we also need to listen to the novices and in order to be both democratic and to have seniority at the same time. So it's very important that the mentor of the novices, if you're a mentor and you have novices as mentees, you need to listen to your mentees and hear what their ideas for the Sangha are. Because sometimes someone very young, very fresh, they have a very good idea, very creative ideas. So we really need to hear that. And the best way to hear it is through the mentor, because the mentor spends time every week with the mentees. What are you thinking about? Say that in the Dharma teachers or the bhikshu, bhikshuni are discussing something, we can ask them, the novices, what do you think about that topic? And experience in the Sangha is very valuable. You live in the Sangha for a long time, you know when things have gone wrong, and you know when things have gone right. And so sometimes you hear an idea that, you know, we tried it in the past and we saw how it went wrong. So it's very important to listen for the younger ones, to listen to the experience of the elder ones. But on the other hand, we can't keep just in one place. We need to develop, we need to grow, we need to do things in a new way. So from that point of view, that experience isn't the only thing. Experience is one thing, but creativity is another very important thing. So somehow we need to keep both those things. And I think that we do quite well in going ahead, in doing new things. But maybe we can do more. And Thai has always said there are always two kinds of people in the Sangha. There are the conservatives and there are the progressives. But that is in the nature of those people. Some people, their nature is conservative, and others, their nature is progressive. Tiến bộ và bảo thủ. So you can look around you. You can look around you and you maybe say, oh, I know that person's nature is more conservative and that person's nature is more progressive. So it's not so much that we fight each other, but that we can synthesize. We need both the elements. We need the conservatives and we really need the progressives. So maybe the answer is that something that Thai Bhikkhu's been giving workshops on this winter is how we organize our bhikshu, bhikshuni meetings. And then if the progressives can be heard and the conservatives can be heard and we have the skill to synthesize the two, then I think we also synthesize seniority and democracy. Seniority is important because we need to be able to hear from those who've had a lot of experience in the Sangha. Democracy is important because we need to be able to hear the creative ideas of those who haven't had experience in the Sangha. So we need them both. And the way that the meeting is conducted, the Bhikshu Bhikshuni meeting, is like the way that we can, in practical terms, we can we can do this synthesis of seniority and democracy. So please let us look deeply at how we conduct our meetings, whether they're happiness meeting or whether they are bhikshu bhikshuni meetings or Dharma teacher meetings. And now we have a lot of young Dharma teachers who may be quite progressive, so they also need to make sure that their ideas are heard and not, another Dharma teacher meeting, I think I have a headache. So we have to be there, we have to contribute our progressive ideas, our innovative ideas. So it's up to, we don't just say, oh, the elders, they always push their ideas on us. That could be a bit being a victim. Have you done your best to push your idea on the elders? You have the right to speak out your idea. Don't let yourself be a victim. And I think in the bhikshu, bhikshuni, in our sangha, I feel that we've not made the kind of mistake that Brother Bilhin was talking about. Because we have mindfulness, we have concentration, and we're practicing the harmony of views. I think our practice of the 6 harmonies, harmony of speech, harmony of thinking, harmony of views, is so important, and it's part of what make the Sangha eyes such good eyes. I think the Sangha eyes are really good eyes. But if you have a group of people who don't practice the harmony of thinking, the harmony of speech, the harmony of deep listening, and so on, harmony of views, then of course that kind of accident will happen. And Thai said that when the bhikshu decides something, Thai doesn't want to veto it, even if even if Thai doesn't really agree. The only time Thai advises us to to veto, is when we see it's a matter of life and death. It's something really important. And in that case, what you will say is, I have some very important information. I couldn't be at the meeting, but I have some very important information I need you to know before we take this decision. So as elder bhikshu, you have the right to do that. If you feel it's a matter of a really, really important matter. But little small things you don't feel very happy about, but it's not going to do anything terrible will happen, then we don't need to use our right of veto. So in the monastic sangha, I don't think there's this danger of groupthink. Because if I were to say, please, I have some very important information, I need the sangha to know before they decide. I can't be at the meeting, please wait another time for when I can be there. I think the sangha will listen, and they will listen to the information that I have. So we need to help the lay people conduct their meetings in a way where there's enough mindfulness, concentration, enough deep listening, and not being caught in views. personally, I find that in the large centers like Plum Village, France and Plum Village, Thailand, the energy of the practice is much more supportive. Because obviously there are more people there, so we produce more collective energy. And it may be true that in the smaller centers there is a large amount of work to be done, so that what happens is that the work becomes more important than we would like it to be. But often the people who are really caught in the work, there's a little bit their responsibility. Sometimes we hide ourselves in the work. It makes us feel good that we're really making a contribution from the work point of view, and we forget about our contribution from the practice point of view. And sometimes we go the other direction, and we don't contribute enough to the work. So we have to keep the middle way, and the Sangha must remind us when we caught in the work. And as much as possible to have the bell of mindfulness, the clock, so that we don't get carried away when we're working. But some people have the clock in their office, but they don't listen to it. So they still get carried away by the work. It's also up to the Dharma teachers, because it's the care of the Dharma teachers is to take care of the practice of the community. And the Dharma teachers need to look and to see, are people getting pressured to do too much work? Are we too worried about our finances so that we push people to work more than is really necessary? Because we know that our practice is what really is the best resource for keeping our center healthy. It's not the work that will keep it healthy. We have to just have faith that if we live in harmony, we practice, we put our heart into the practice, we have enough peace and happiness, then we just have to trust that the finances will come. And if they don't come, we don't worry. Because Tai once said to me, it doesn't matter, we can go somewhere else. If our center you cannot maintain financially, but we have enough happiness, enough practice, then we can always go back to Plum Village or go somewhere else. Yeah, it's not so important. So the Dharma teachers should make sure that the number one priority is the Dharma happiness of the Sangha, and should encourage the Sangha to do what it can to encourage that Dharma happiness, rather than encourage everybody to work very hard so that we have more income.